Hi everyone. We would analyze California Police Scorecard dataset as our final project, and we will focus on accountability and violence. I'm Charlene. My legal name is Ting Wei Shen.
I'm shooting.
So for our dataset, it contains information about police department performance and policies in all counties of California from 2016 to 2018. The dataset is divided into three tables: police demographic, police arrests, and police accountability. Police demographic table provides information um, about the basic race and economic information of the citizens in the police district. Police arrest table provides information about the number of arrests and shootings that occurred within each police department and their uses of force, position, arrests categorized by race, homicides, budget, score evaluations, and more. Under score evaluations, it has a police violence score that is the average of the percentile of different violent behaviors per arrest. The police accountability table provides the information about the level of accountability due to county laws or police union agreements. In our project, we would use police violence score under police arrest table and the whole police accountability score. So our hypothesis question and prediction our hypothesis question is that whether the accountability score of the police department with lower violence score is significantly different from that of the police department with higher violence score. So in this case, the new hypothesis is there is no relationship between accountability and violence. Our alternative hypothesis is that there is a relationship between California police accountability and violence score, and furthermore, less violent police would be more accountable. We wish to predict that a county's police department's accountability score can be used to predict its violence score.
In our exploration section, the first step is to select and generate the information we need. The first step is to calculate accountability score defined by our own. So police department will earn a point on accountability score if it has a policy that help the police to be more accountable, and lose 1 point if it has a policy to discourage the police to be more accountable. Then we'll assign less violent variable to each police agencies. It will be assigned true to less violent if the violence score is less than mean, and false otherwise. The first observation of our table is that by using a group function, we are able to see that our accountability score seems to have a normal distribution centered at -1, which means that it could work well to differentiate different police agencies. The second observation is that by using a group function, we're able to see that less violent police agencies, on average, are more accountable. This follows our instinct, and further testing in hypothesis testing will prove whether this is by chance. The third observation is that we cannot find a strong linear relationship between the two variables. So if we use a linear model to predict, that might not work well. The fourth observation is that the less violent and more violent groups have similar numbers of objects. This means we are good for A/B testing. Our last observation is that less violent agencies tend to have higher accountability score. And we also need further testing in hypothesis testing section to prove whether this is by chance or there is truly a correlation. Then in our hypothesis testing section, our null hypothesis is that there's no relationship between accountability and violence. Our alternative hypothesis is that less violent police agencies have higher accountability score. To proceed with our A/B testing, We define our test statistic to be the difference of means of accountability scores from more violent and less violent agencies. That means if the test statistics is large, the less violent police will have higher accountability scores than the counterparts. So this favors our alternative hypothesis. The first step of our A/B testing is to find the observed test statistics. Then we simulate test statistics under the null hypothesis for 5,000 times. Then we calculate the p-value by divide the number of simulated statistics that are larger than observed statistic by 5,000. Then we got our p-value of 0.005. That's less than our p-value cutoff of 0.01. So we are able to reject our null hypothesis and conclude that less violent police agencies are more accountable. This graph shows that a large portion of statistic under null hypothesis is less than our observed statistics. So that means our null hypothesis could be rejected. In our prediction section, we'll try to use a linear regression model we'll try to use the accountability score to predict the police violence score. We want to use a linear model because we have showed that the two variables are correlated, so it makes sense to predict one variable using another. To predict them, we need to compute the line of best fit. Then we'll plot the actual predicted values and to examine how well our model performs. From the graph, we are able to see that our model performs quite bad. It's not surprising since we knew that the linear relationship is not strong. Then we plot the residuals and see how much off is from our prediction is off from the actual dots. And from the graph of residuals, we're able to see that the residuals is not centered at x-axis at all, which means our model works very poor. We computed the correlation to be negative 0.02, which is a very weak negative correlation. That explains why our model is not working well. To conclude, we are able to draw the conclusion that less violent police are more accountable. However, our linear correlation model does not predict the police violence score based on accountability score very well. The limitation of our project is that we are using too few variables. Like demographics is a big part that should be taken into account, but we are not using it. And also, the accountability score defined by our own might not actually reflect how accountable the police agency is. We could improve our algorithm to better reflect police accountability. Thank you.
Thank you.